What's going on, people? Welcome back to the channel. This is Stockholm Gunner, and this is the match preview for Sunday's game. It is Arsenal versus Tottenham in Spurs home ground, people. It is on Sunday, 4:30 kickoff UK time. I was gonna ask you guys how y'all feeling, but then again, we already know how you're feeling. I'm not feeling that great at all, people, after that game on Wednesday evening where we performed so horribly against Wolverhampton. Look, we were not horrible throughout the whole game. We were horrible after the 60 minutes and onwards, right? I thought from the minute 1 till the 60 minute we were in full control of that game, but then again Wolverhampton put on the pressure and start playing a lot better after the 60 minutes in that game. And I thought that couple of players were not really up to the standard that we want our boys to be, and I was disappointed how we actually drew that game. We're supposed to beat the likes of Wolverhampton. They are at the bottom of the table and we are on the top of the table, people. And so people were saying, look, when we were 9 points clear, some people were saying, yeah, this is it, we are 9 points clear, right? Man City are never gonna catch us. They're never gonna catch us. And then all of a sudden, from 9 points, it became 7 points. And they still was saying, you know what? We are 7 points clear from Man City. They're not gonna catch us. And then all of a sudden, for the 7 points, it became 4 points. Unbelievable. And we keep reducing that gap between us and Man City with horrible performances like the one against Wolverhampton. Look, two players I thought was very horrible in that game was Zupermende. This guy Zupermende, you guys know how much I really rate this player. I think he's an amazing player, very talented player, but the game against Wolverhampton, I thought he was below par. He seriously was underperforming. And for games like that, I don't know why we play in the likes of Declan Rice and Zupermende together. We don't need to play those two together in a game against Wolverhampton, right? We can have one CDM and then two tens and go on from there. We can simply do that. But Arteta tends to stick with his guns and play both Zupermende and Declan Rice. Reason why he didn't play that great, I'm not too sure. One thing I can think of is that maybe he has played too many games. That could be it. Or maybe he was just horrible on the day. I didn't like his performance. I think he was very terrible in that game. He couldn't get the passes right and he couldn't tackle correctly. And I thought he was very poor on the day. And then you have David Raya, the other player who was horrible, right? I thought he was horrible, seriously horrible. Look, that goal they scored, the second goal, it is all David Raya's fault. It really is David Raya's fault. Now, the way he came out, look, Gabriel is a tall guy. David Raya is also a tall guy, I personally believe. And when you come in out and to claim the ball and you have a player of yours standing right in front of you, jumping for that ball, you're supposed to communicate with your fellow players. You're supposed to say, look, I'm coming out, I'm going to grab that ball, get out of the way. If you didn't do that, apparently you did not do that, apparently. So therefore you are a very tall guy and you do have two hands. That gives you that extra length and you could have grabbed the ball right completely away from Gabriel's head and saved us in that day, but you didn't do that. Look, you were shaky in this game and you were also shaky in the Brentford game, and in Sunderland you were slightly better, but you were shaky as well. So that's not a good performance from David Raya. That is not a good performance from David Raya. Looking at the stats in this game against Wolves, right? Wolverhampton, we had about 58% of that ball, right? That ball possession, and they had 42% of ball possession. And then they had expected goals, XG basically. We had 1.60 1.60, and they had 0.29, right? They took 5 shots altogether, and they had 2 on target, and those are the 2 goals they scored. Those 2 shots they had on target, they scored from it. We had 10 shots and 4 was on target. We were simply not good enough in that game. Seriously not good enough in that game. Now, against Tottenham, against Tottenham, if we perform the way we performed against the Wolverhampton, against Tottenham, we will lose that game. We seriously will lose that game. Look, Tottenham has got a new manager in, and they could have that new manager bounce, right? Teams are dangerous. They really are dangerous. When they do have a new manager, they like to perform for the manager, and they would like to get a result against the teams like Arsenal, especially against Arsenal. These are our North London rivals. Simple as that. And I think they're gonna come out and play against us and trying to get a result against us. Look, there's one thing here. We are the ones that's gunning for the title, right? We are going for the title, and these other teams, they are going to play against us like it is a final. Why? Because simply they want to say, oh, we played against the table leaders, we got a point, or we got the victory. That's what they want to say, that bragging claim. They want to brag about it. It's simple as that. And they're going to play against us like it is a final. So what do I expect on Sunday against Tottenham? I think they're going to come out and they're going to play against us, and I think it's going to be an open game against them. But I believe we will take the 3 points. Look, this is Tottenham. This is Tottenham in the table. Look at this, guys, people. Look at this, right? They are sitting. Where is this? There is Tottenham. Tottenham. Let me move myself out of the way. Nope, that's not it. Let me move myself out of the way. Tottenham is right there. Tottenham is right there. They're sitting as a number 16. As a number 16th, right? They're sitting as a number 16th with 29 points. They are literally just 5 points away from relegation zone, right? West Ham United is sitting as a number 18, and they have 24 points on that table, and they have played 26 games. So Tottenham, if this new manager doesn't do anything for them, and they could be relegated. They could be relegated, right? It is incredible. It is incredible. They managed to get themselves in a high position in the Champions League, but in the league, in the Premier League, they are performing very poorly. Now, let's have a look at the last 5 games they have played. The last 5 games they have played look like this, people. They played against Newcastle. They lost that one 2-1. And then they played against Manchester United. They lost that one 2-0. And then they drew against that game against Man City. It was 2-2 between them. And then in the Champions League, they're doing very well for themselves, I have to say. They won over Frankfurt 2-0, right? And then Burnley, they're supposed to beat the likes of Burnley, but they drew against them. It is 2-2, right? So Tottenham are struggling in the Premier League. They seriously are struggling in the Premier League. Now, can we go over there and take the 3 points? We simply have to. We simply have to. We cannot let them get a point, right? Look, Man City is right behind us. We are 5 points clear of them, but they do have a game in hand. So in practical, we are only 2 points ahead of Man City. That's what it is. And I believe they're going to win that game in hand. They have, and the point gap is only 2 points. And then it's going to be a question of who's going to win between us and them when we go over to their home ground, right? To their home ground. And I think it's going to be a very, very difficult game against them. Now, the rest of the games that we have is going to be incredibly difficult as well, because teams wants to get a result against us, and they want us to be the butt pull jobs. Basically, simple as that. They're gonna perform against us like it is a final, and they will try to take a point or the victory against us. That is pretty much what teams will try to do against us. Now, let me give you my predicted starting 11 for the game against Tottenham. Right? These are the starting 11 that I have picked for the Tottenham game. I would start in goal Kepa this time, because I thought, let me move myself out of the way. What's going on today? Let me minimize this one. Simple as that. Look at that. I don't know why my settings are all over the place today. Anyway, I would start with Kepa in goal, people. I would start with Kepa in goal because I do not like the way Raya is performing currently. Seriously, not good enough. And another player that wasn't really in the game against Wolverhampton was Timber. I thought he was poor in that game as well. So I'm going to play Ben White as a right back. And then you will have William Saliba, Gabriel Magalhaes, and Hincapié as a left back. And then in that midfield, I would not play Zubimendi in this game. I would play Nordgaard, Declan Rice, right? Just those two in front of the defenders, and then the three in front of them will be Bukayo Saka on the right, Martinelli on the left, and Ebushi as right behind the striker, right, as that number 10, and then Victor Gyökeres up top. Those are my starting 11 for this game, people, against Tottenham, and I expect the 3 points. We simply have to take the 3 points against Tottenham. If we lose or draw this game, that's it. The title race is done. Man City is gonna take over and they're gonna win this title. That's what I personally believe. We simply have to go over there and take the 3 points, despite the fact that they could get that new manager bounce, right? We got to make sure that we kill that off and take the 3 points. Simple as that. Really simple as that. What sort of predicted scoreline do I have for this one? I think it's gonna be an open game. That's what I think. And they're gonna come out and they're gonna start playing against us, and they're gonna try to score. So therefore, we're gonna hit them on the counter attack, and we're gonna get 2 goals. And I'm gonna say it's gonna be 2-0 for Arsenal for this game. That's what I'm saying for this game. But anyway, that's the match preview, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'm out here. Take care, people.